and I I essentially broke down what each user would be doing in the PHN system. So
Okay.
for nurses, they would be registering the patient, logging daily activities, recording patient encounter, and then managing the EMR.
Okay.
Um, where patient care coordinators, they also have the ability to register the patient. Their primary focus is going to be to coordinate the plans, and then they will have EMR management access as well. That way, they can continue to coordinate the plans and keep track of any missed appointments or any overdue statuses in the system as well.
Okay. Now, can I ask you a question here? So
Mhm.
when you say manage EMR, so what
Mhm.
type of activities you are thinking here?
So for the nurses, they'll manage the electronic medical records through, it'll be through the logging of the daily activities, the patient encounters. They'll have to, save and upload documents to the EMR that they may complete outside of the PHS system. Like if they're doing any handwritten notes or need to upload any of those notes electronically, they can do that. Um, now that I'm thinking about it for the patient care coordinator, maybe less than managing, maybe they just have access to the EMR. That way they can effectively coordinate those plans and then keep track of, any missed appointments or overdue appointments, upcoming appointments, uh, helping them with eligibility requirements and things like that.
So
Okay.
what is the difference between that and a coordinate plans then?
Oh, between like managing the EMR and then the coordinating plans?
Yeah, because what you talked about it is all of the
Mm-hmm.
activities, right?
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that part of the coordinating plan?
Yeah, I get that. So kind of what I was thinking when I broke them down separately was um in the EMR they'll have access to all of that. So that in my mind was one separate area where coordinating the plans is them accessing the system to work with the patient and their families directly.
So when you think around use case, right? So you want to
Hmm.
like think around specific activities or functions that
Hmm.
becomes a part of the business process, right? So same thing in
Okay.
like nurse when you said manage EMR, right?
Hmm.
Essentially, they are managing EMR when they record the patient encounter or logging their daily activities
Hmm.
or putting it information about the patient, right?
Hmm.
So I would probably not put manage EMR that. Think about
Okay.
it is what you're talking about is a subset of the other three activities that they're performing,
Right. Okay.
right?
Okay.
So think around the unique, discrete activities or actions they will perform it, right? Now, again, all the users will probably have access to certain sets of data, right,
Hmm.
in the systems. And is that holistically part of the management? Yes. Then why do you need to keep it a separate activity?
Okay. So just to clarify, you're saying to take out the manage EMR since the other activities entail the management of the EMR,
Right.
correct? Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So I'll do that in the
Right.
Yeah,
PowerPoint when I
both for nurse and patient
okay.
coordinator.
Okay. Excellent. So I'll take those out. And then
Now, there are other activities. I don't see that listed here, but
okay.
we'll talk as we go through, okay? Because
Okay.
I think
Sounds
the
good.
others might have identified them. So, yep.
Okay. Sounds good. So then moving on to billing claims and insurance. So for the billing and claims, they submit the insurance claims through the system, they track the claims status, and then they generate insurance reports or invoices. And insurance would be going into the system to receive the claims and then return the claim status with an approval or denial.
Okay, so your assumption here is that insurance people, the actual insurance companies will have access to the system. It sounds like.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, but that was also going to be one of the questions I asked during lab as
Okay.
well, since I wasn't clear on whether they would have direct access or if billing and claims would be going to the insurance portals directly and uploading the claims through the portals. Therefore, insurance wouldn't really need access to the system in that case.
Right, right. So let's hold that thought because there is a billing process that we haven't really talked about. I don't think the documentation mentioned that. So for now, what you have is fine. But just to clarify here, insurance will not have direct access to the
Okay.
system because they don't need access to the system.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the claims.
Okay, great. And then last but not least would be the Ohio Department of Health. They'll be going in to sync the immunization data. They'll be submitting any progress data department-wide, and then they're generating reports, whether it be audits, whether it be acceptance into programs, generating those reports, so on and so forth.
So just help me understand a little bit when you say submit progress data, what that kind of data and what part of the functionality or where did you read it that made you believe that we need to have to submit progress data?
Yeah, so the thought process that I had, again, it was going to be another one of my questions in the lab as well, is whether the Department of Health will need to submit some sort of progress within the program to anyone else within, whether it's within the department, whether it's statewide, nationwide, whatever it may be. So I was curious about that, and that's what led me to at least initially putting the submit progress data on there, and then taking it out if need be.
So one thing you need to think around as you do it, right, is in a state, probably you have like it's 50 to 100 counties, right?
Right.
Do you want state officials to go individually to all 50 counties, try to do that?
No, it would be
Or
broken
do
up,
you
right?
see it the other way around, where the PHN synchronizes the data with the ODH when
Okay.
it
Yeah,
happens,
that would be more beneficial, yes.
right?
Okay.
So think around what makes sense for the process, right? And then, like it's right, it'll ask those kind of questions. So that goes back into the correctness and completeness of the requirement, right? In this case, the way you have demonstrated, right, the ODH employee will actually access the PHN to get all of that. Now, think about if they have 50 counties in the state, they have to go around 50 different places to do the exact same functions. And often they don't know where the patient is going to sit down, right?
Okay, that makes sense. So putting that in the, rather than the ODH, putting that in the PHN, that way, ODH, they're looking at 50 to 100 counties. PHN would be the one submitting the
Right.
progress data to the ODH. That way they can just pull it up when needed.
That's a possibility, right? And that's where your questioning comes into handy when you talk to the end user so that you have clarity around, hey, is this which way, which directional? Is it bidirectional sync? Same thing like it's with what Herschel pointed it out, right? The insurance and the billing. Insurance may not have access to it. Do you want to like it's then like it's a set of questions so that you can ask them to get a little bit more insight into it?
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you. All right. And that's
Now,
the
there are a few other actors as well, right? So
okay.
let's take a look at other folks' diagrams
Yep.
for the use case and see if anybody has them. So, and then you can revise yours, Kusal, afterwards
Okay.
based on the
Great.
discussion. So, who would be the next person? Anybody? Please go ahead. Girija, Sana. Sana, we cannot hear you. Yeah.
Dana, you might want to check it. What is your
Yeah.
microphone setting is set to? And make sure it is set to whatever microphone we are using it. Okay, while we are waiting for Sana to sync it, Khadija or Jayashree, do you want?
Yes, I'm just pulling it out.
Okay.
Send it for me. Hello.
I think we could hear you now, Shana, if you say something again. If you're saying something, Shana, we can't hear you.
That's mine.
Okay.
Okay. Now this is like prime physician. Physician is doing the diagnosis, and for the diagnostic and treatment programs, he is completing a form and signing the form, and he accept referral and recommending additional services if any, appeal of denial services. This is what physician is doing. Then
Okay. So
uh,
which physician you are referring to? The physician who is treating the patient, or physician at the
it's not treating the
county,
patient. It's like
basically?
diagnosing. A physician is diagnosing the patient and completing the form and signing it. He is not like treating the patient. He is just diagnostic and like recommending him to the BCMP, like
BCMH, right?
BCMH. Yes.
BCMH.
Yes.
Okay. So is that, do you think that those activities happens within the system, or that happens outside or before?
The second, third, and fourth are like in the system.
Okay.
First one is like little doubt.
Okay. All right. Let's go through what you have then.
Okay.
Before you make any changes, right? Let's see what you have.
And then here team service, I'm sorry, this is a last minute diagram, so that's why I cannot put the arrow mark. Okay.
Okay.
Then team service coordinator for team service coordination program is like hospitalized treatment and program. For that, they are completing form and signing MAF and ensure that the form received by BCMH within 16 days, and they are collaborating with the nurses for the treatment and other services.
Okay. All right.
Okay. And then
Yep.
nurses, they are reviewing the form, providing the service and the data about the services, what they are giving it, and enter the like personal details like date of joining, certificates, time cards, or their daily activities, and helping the families with the insurance plans, how to work with it, and share details about growth and development of the children with the families. Then share individualized educational plan with schools if any children going to school. Then suggesting further treatments if any the child is needing, and appeal of denial services.
Okay. So, I think you listed all the activities that nurses are doing, right? You identified probably based on the documents, whatever the nurses are doing currently. But when we talk about the use case diagram, right? So they are more focused on what activities they will be doing within the system scope.
Okay, so this IEP details is important, right? IEP details, sharing growth with the families so they can send report to the families like what they are doing it. Like,
But that could happen by a phone call outside the system, right? So within the system, meaning are they interacting?
so they don't enter the
With any
reports about the growth and development of the child, like after giving the treatments, or will it goes with data about the services? Will it include?
So there is a term they are calling, right? They are conducting the assessments and reassessments. I'm not sure whether you guys read through all the documents or not. But
Yeah,
keeping track of the progress, right? That's part of the assessment and reassessment. So
okay.
certainly that thing will be captured within the system. So
Suggesting treatments, if that thing comes when they are reassessing the treatments. Once the treatment is settling down, or like if it's not working, then they suggest other treatments. That comes after reassessing the thing.
So there are different programs, right? So there is a diagnostics program. So as part of the diagnostics, they do certain activities. As part
Yes.
of the treatment, so there are certain activities happens. Now, is the nurse doing the activity, or is it the doctor or the clinics? Basically,
Diagnosis done by the doctors. Nurses are giving like treatments in their home, like going to the houses or going to the places and giving treatments and giving services like that.
okay. That's what you read. I'm not sure if it's clearly identified in the document, but that's what you have. Now, when you say work with the insurance plan, right?
Oh, it's help the families to go through the insurance plans, how it works, like
So
what.
that is that happens within the system, or that is outside the process, right? So they might be talking to the families, interacting with the families on how the
Okay.
insurance plan works, providing them information. So those are not some of the activities they are doing within the system.
Okay.
So
Okay.
think of it, what if I'm a user and I'm wearing a hat of a nurse, what things I would be doing within the system?
Okay.
That's what the goal of the use case diagram is. Now that there could be other activities like what you identify. They could be talking or notifying the schools, but that happens outside the system. They
No,
could be
sharing IEP plan with the schools is it's included in the system, right?
no, it's not part of the system. I'm clarifying it for you. That process or that functionality is basically nurse will pick up the phone and call the schools, or basically when they visit the schools. I mean that's a whole nother activity they are doing, basically.
So they
But
don't
that
enter those
happens
meetings
outside
or
the.
details, enter those meetings or details in the software.
Typically, when we talk about the nurses, right, dealing with the kids, majority of
Mm-hmm.
the time they're going to their house in person, right?
Uh-huh.
And basically evaluating them, conducting their initial assessments of the kid for the diagnosis side of things. So there is a whole nother form, right? That you have seen, you might have seen the assessment form um, as part of this activity. That's what they will do. Then they will reevaluate basically. That they have to keep doing that for so what they do the initial assessment, then every 6 months they have to conduct the reassessment for the kid as well. So they will, and most likely those assessments are 2 hour, 3 hour type of things. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like a 5 minute type of thing, where they can go and evaluate, right? So 99% of the time they will go to the school. They will go to their house while the parents are present, and they will conduct that activity at their house. But the eventual information will end up in the system at that point. Now, share the IEP with the schools. That's not necessary. That's not part of the basically system functionality, or that will
Mm-hmm.
not be part of the system functionality.
Okay.
Sorry to interrupt, Herschel. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Sorry. Thank you.
Yes. We can hear you. Yep. Right. And suggesting the treatments. So suggest that part can be done by the doctor clinics, right? Doctors at the clinic and so forth. So basically they will help put together all the assessments. So based on the assessment, what the nurses will complete, and then the doctor will look at it and say, yep, this is the treatment. So the nurse cannot suggest basically
Oh,
any treatments at that
so
point,
this is like,
because there are specific conditions, right? That needs to be a qualified doctor, that they need to look at it and evaluate it and so forth.
okay.
So assessments and reassessment, right? You can just identify that's the activity they'll be
Okay.
doing, and
Yeah.
so forth. Now, appeal of denial services. Now they will help the parents,
Yes.
but that's not what they do. They will tell parents where to go and basically who to reach out and so forth, and how to basically. Now, if you look at the documentation, I don't think the documentation says that they will appeal the denial of services.
So they
It's up
help
to the parents,
families,
basically.
right?
Parents can reach out to the doctor and their BCMA doctor, right? And BCMA doctor can again contact county saying, oh, why did you deny? Here are the additional proofs or whatever, additional records
So
for
it's
this
like
patient
helping the
and so forth.
family. So it
Yeah,
doesn't
helping
come
the
in
family.
the.
So that's not the activity they will do within the system scope,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
Now,
And
I
then
don't see there are still few things missing here.
yes, and certain things it's that site says out of the diagrams, out of the shapes. So
Okay.
just I did here. Then account department is doing lookup for the services provided, processing bills, contact insurance, unclaimed bills, notice to the parents, and payment confirmation.
Now, what is unclaimed bill notice to
Oh,
parents?
if the insurance, private insurance is not covering the bills, then the notice to be sent to the parents, and parents take the immediate action contacting BCMH, and at last that BCMH is paying the bill. That's what I
So
read.
accounting department, right? I mean, so if you guys read through some of the documents, right? So county is a last resort for the payment. Okay, so county is a last resort for the payment. What does it mean, right? So that means that if parent has to basically go through the normal process of insurance, and the doctor will bill the insurance company first. And if insurance doesn't pay, then only doctor will tell parent, and parent has to file a claim with the BCMA. Now, if it's a BCMA certified BCMA doctor, then they will reach out to the county at that point for the that it's saying that they did not pay, they only paid maybe portion of the amount and so forth. So
when there is a
so
sentence
accounting
says,
department doesn't deal with the insurance
okay,
at this point.
when it says that BCMH is the last resort to pay,
Yep,
well, what
yep.
does that mean? It like
That means that parent, if they have insurance, they have to go through the insurance first. And if
okay,
the
and
insurance
insurance
denies
is
the
not
claim or
paying it.
pay partially, then the remaining amount they will claim with the BCMH.
Okay,
But that is only if the BCMH has approved the treatment program or diagnostic services or anything else.
okay, okay.
Right. So accounting department doesn't deal with the insurance.
Oh, okay.
So they'll cut the check
This
to the parent or doctor, basically to the doctor, saying, because doctor will deal with because they are a BCMH approved doctor, right? So they know how to deal with the BCMH for certain services.
Oh, okay. So what is that? So account department activities like?
So account department just processes the bill, basically from the doctors, make the payments. They look at the letter of approval, see what is covered, what is not covered, and so forth. And that's it. I mean, they don't do other than that. I mean, they will have to have access to the system, right? At that point, they need to have access to the system, so they will have access to look at the patient information within the system, what type of services. So they will have access, but their focus is basically issuing the payments and processing the claims
Okay.
from the doctor's offices.
Then registration department, or I can say clinic, enter details of the patient, get insurance information, book appointment for treatments.
Okay, so registration department, is there a department
No,
that's
registration
being called
people in
out?
the clinic. I say registration people in the clinic.
So that goes back to how the patients are being registered, right, in the system. So I'm assuming you guys have done the flow as well. So we'll take a look at it, but there is no separate registration department as part of the order. So who registers the patient, right? So that's a question here, right? And I think we already talked about the patient registration activity can be done by nurses, basically in the first, when we looked at the Kussal's diagram, right? Which nurses can do that, or service coordinators could do that as well from that standpoint.
Okay, for like X-rays or some kind of like treatments, they do not need the book appointment. Like they need to book appointment in the software, or like they go somewhere?
So I think, so you are talking about scheduling the appointment. That's part of the
Yes,
patient
scheduling the
encounter
appointment for,
process, right? So that is
yeah,
part of the patient encounter. Now, who can do the patient encounter? Who has access to do the patient encounter?
the nurses.
So nurses can have access, right?
Mhm.
Now, scheduling part as part of the encounter, right? They need to schedule the appointments and so forth. So there might be somebody at the clinic might be taking the appointments as well. So there'll be some other admin staff as well who can schedule the appointments for the
Oh,
encounter. Now,
so
there is
like
no separate
in,
registration department. Okay, so
okay,
I just
so
want to
it's like
clarify that.
test, X-rays or scans, anything else, it will not come under the clinic or registration people's side, right?
Now,
That's my
X-rays and
doubt.
scans, I'm not sure what you mean by
No, there are,
X-rays.
for the diagnostic program or any further treatments required, they need to, if they want to go for any test or like scan, some other treatment like that. So how about that? Like they need to go to the clinic and get appointment, or like
It's
something.
not the clinic, right? So clinic is for immunizations. So what does the clinic do, right? So there is an immunization part at that is done. For any other treatments, they will go to their BCMA doctor,
Okay.
right? So that there is a
Yeah.
BCMA doctor that is working with the patient or child or physically, right? That's the one they will take care of anything that's needed, but that's nothing to do with the system at that point.
Okay.
Those records are not being handled by the PHN systems. So that
Okay.
is done at the doctor's office. Just like you
Oh,
go to your doctor. Now
this one
doctor
I
is
got.
approved.
Now
Got
I
it,
got.
right?
Now I
Okay.
got. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So you need to revise this registration and clinic part, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Anything else you
Yeah.
have on this one?
That's
Okay.
it.
All right. Okay. All right. Go ahead, Sana or Jayshree.
Sure. I can go
Yeah.
ahead if that's all
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
fine.
Question before I start, can you let me know what tool did you use to draw your fancy stick figure?
Yeah. So I use PowerPoint
PowerPoint.
to make it
Okay.
on there. And the icons has the stick figures on there, and then I just use the shapes
Oh,
to get the
interesting.
lines and circles and everything
I
on there.
dabbled with Visio for the first time, and the process diagram looked very fancy, but I
Yeah.
struggled with my stick figure, so I will
Yeah.
see in a moment. Okay,
Yeah,
let
well,
me go ahead and
Visio is the one that we use at work.
okay,
Generally, most of the companies use Visio
okay,
for modeling. So
okay. So I need to just work on how to get better with that.
yeah, they have
Okay.
templates as well. So you just create a use case diagram and start dragging and dropping whatever the person icon and
Oh,
start
perfect.
connecting. Yeah,
Perfect.
yeah.
All right. So now I was listening to your
If you don't mind, can you
conversation.
a little bit zoom in?
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Okay,
Is this
yeah,
better?
there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, if you
Okay.
go up, yep.
Yeah, sure. Um, Now, based on what I read through the documents, of course, I have a lot of follow-up questions. The clarity, I mean, the understanding that I had in my head was that clinics would be doing the initial patient registration, and the nurses were primarily responsible. They could initiate the MAF process, that's the medical application form, as a part of their job duties. But nowhere I kind of read that they would be okay doing the initial parent registration. So my idea is based on that fact.
Okay.
So then based on that, the nurses, and just to verify, everything I put has to be with system and center, correct, Herschel?
That is correct. Yeah. So these are the interaction with the systems. Okay. So
Okay.
if there are other activities they are performing, then you don't want to depict that as part of the use case diagram.
Okay. So then
Yeah.
I'll go through what
Any
I
interaction meaning like if you have module names, right? Kind of like we talked about modules, like
correct.
patient registration is one of that. There is assessment, reassessment. That is another kind of like think of it as a module as well.
Okay.
Patient encounter is another one. So you need to get familiar with the terminologies. Now,
Sure.
obviously, if you look at the bubble, right, you cannot type in like 100 lines, right?
Correct,
You have to
correct.
be, it has to be very precise. What's the module name? And generally, you agree with the business. Business will tell you that's a patient assessment. That's the terminology we are using.
Sure. So if I
forth.
had to ask you a question, if what the role of clinic was, you want me to ask you right now, or do you want to go through everybody and then keep some time to answer our questions?
No, as I mentioned, right? So clinic is there, but they typically focus on the immunizations and encounters and so forth. So immunization, basically, the patient comes in for certain vaccination and so forth. That's what they will schedule it and basically go
Sure.
through it. Yeah.
What my specific question was that when a patient calls, is it just the clinic that will do the patient initial registration, like how we would call our doctor's place, and there would be a special person, not the nurse, who would kind
So
of
where
just,
does the process start, right? So that's why I ask you guys to draw patient registration process as well.
Correct.
So so you need to have that picture in mind as well. Where does it start? What is the current process basically right now? As is, right?
Okay.
As is process.
Okay, I don't know. For some reason, my head was thinking about clinic will do the initial patient registration, and then they will let the patient know that, hey, you're assigned to this nurse. Like I was understanding how we go to our doctor's place, and they kind of assign us to a particular nurse. And then if we need any MAF, a medical application form, then that nurse is able to help us with that initiative as well. And of course, to push it to put us to the physician then.
Right. So I think
approved.
you went other way around. Okay. So the process starts with the BCMH doc, basically.
But then let me ask you this. This clinic that we're talking about, our PHN system, is filled with nurses, correct? Wouldn't they be doing a lot of things under the umbrella versus BCMH is one of its major thing that it's taking, or is the other way around here?
No, so think about the problem that they have, right? So not the problem, but the issue they are facing, right? So there are kids with certain conditions, right?
Correct.
Now, like cystic fibrosis or some they are born with some blood defects, maybe some heart defect or whatever it is, right?
Yes.
So they have identified certain conditions.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when the parents take the kid to the doctor, right, and doctor will evaluate them, and it requires pretty much a lifelong treatment or long-term treatment plan, right? And nobody has that money, right? I mean, parents cannot obviously afford chunk out basically thousands and dollars. So that's where the county and government has put up this program. So BCMA doctor said, oh, we can help you here because it's basically it requires long-term treatment and diagnostic services and whatnot. And then they will reach out to the county, basically by filling out the form.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Yes.
And
yes.
then they will say, please go basically talk to this nurse or provide them contact. If the kid is in hospital, generally hospital has service coordinators. Basically, they will guide them through the process. But if the kid is going to the doctor, that primary physician who understands this process, and they say, please reach out to the county and they can help you out if you are unable to pay or whatever it is, right?
Yes. No, that makes sense. In my head, I was thinking county is, catering to all the kids, and some of them are who need
No, not
medical
specific
handicap.
with the specific
Yes.
conditions that require certain treatment. Yeah.
Okay, that makes more
But
sense. Okay.
as part of this process, so once the kid goes to the county, right? I mean, county, they reach the parents and kids, they reach out to the county. And at that point, there was the nurse basically will come into picture for initial evaluation, basically for the diagnostics, basically.
Got it.
Right? And they will probably set up appointment with the kid at a home, basically, and they will go through the initial assessment process.
Okay.
Right. At that point, after the initial assessment is done, nurse comes back, they will record the daily activity and so forth. Basically, generally assume there is no system right now, right? So they will come back to their county and they will basically come up with a plan. They will talk to the doctor afterwards. They will come up with a plan for the treatment for the kid, and that's where they will require some financial documents from the parents as well.
Yes.
Because if the parents can afford it, then they might approve partial basically payment type of thing. right? So
Yes.
that's where the letter of approval comes in the picture as well.
Yes, yes,
Like
yes.
what conditions they can treat and how much the county can pay,
Correct,
basically.
correct. And if not, then they also have some other options that they could go to.
Yep,
Yes,
yep.
I have
That's
listed it nicely. My only understanding of this was slightly off. Okay, so
Right.
based on that, what I had mentioned was that they have, the nurses will start the process for medical application form, referring families to BCMH doctors. They will input daily activities. I was also implying that they talked about PHN consultative services. So they had to fill a special form. Would this form be online as well, since everything is automated within the system?
Now, I'm not sure what you mean by PHN consultative
So
services.
PHN consultative services, it said amongst the responsibility of the nurse, or what the nurse offers as a service, this was put in there. And it says that it has to, they have to fill out a special form, the nurses and the doctors. So
But that's again, though, that process, right now you are looking at, so once the system is in place, do you think this process is needed? I'm basically, or I'm just trying to think of what is this process is, that is,
Okay.
and
Because in my
when
head,
the
I was
system is
thinking,
in place, think of about the system is in place. I mean, why would they need a separate
because
process?
this is specifically catering to kids who are 0 to 3 years of age, and they have a program called Help Me Grow.
Okay, so that's a different program. So I think I asked you guys to stop at page number 13.
Okay, where I'm sorry.
Reading that, because there are other programs,
Okay,
Help Me
okay.
Grow, and there are a bunch of other programs they have listed out,
Oops,
but we are
okay.
focusing on the BCMH side of things. So I think I asked you guys
Okay.
to stop at page 13 or 12.
Was that in an email where you asked us to stop?
No, we talked in the class. I
Oh,
think
okay. I'm
I
sorry.
mentioned that. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
that's okay. But it's good to read, I mean, the whole thing, but
Yes, yes.
that is part of the different program. So
Okay,
that's
okay,
not
okay.
part of the scope of this PHN.
Oh, okay. So in that case, they're entering service data when they're meeting with the patient. And this was pretty much what I listed for nurses. Would the nutritional services will also come inside some other program, I'm
Nutritional
assuming?
is a different program as well.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
nutritional.
Okay.
Now there could be some overlap with the BCMH program, but so BCMH, if you look at the assessment form, that includes some nutritional services as well.
Correct. Yes.
Right. So that could be captured within the system, those information. But what happens, the data, and it's a whole other program, nutritional services.
Okay.
Yeah.
So then what I read about physician was that he signs and submits MF on behalf of the child patient. And this was pretty much the only thing I could sense where he's actually communicating with the PHN system.
Again, these doctors are like doctors' offices, right? Regular offices. And they have no idea, basically, to how to interact with the systems.
No, but
So
then wouldn't he look for the form there, Herschel? Like the nurse referred, right? And would he not have to approve something and send it back to her or something? So they'll be using the PHN system, correct? Unless it is a paper format.
Physician will fill up the form. They will hand it over to the parents on the child, basically, because it's for the kid. And the parents will reach out to the county with the form.
Oh, okay. I thought they will submit it. Okay.
Yeah, the nurse can refer as well, right? But again, physician has to fill out the form. Without that,
Yes,
they
that's
cannot.
true.
Parents cannot now. So there is a paper copy of the form, right? So they will take it. The parent will take it, go back to the county, and county will look that in and input the information in the system at that point.
Oh, I see what you're saying. In my head, I was thinking that they go back to their system, and because it's officially approved and they want to make sure that's some critical data, they want to send it to those BCMH. But no, I get what you're saying.
There is no interaction between the Fiji, because there are thousands of physicians out there. Their offices are not connected anywhere other than basically, yep.
All right. Okay.
Yep.
And then what I understood about team service coordinator, that if a particular patient is eligible for team coordination to use specific team, that is when he or she steps in to kind of help him with help the patient with the MAF assistance in filling them out.
Yeah, that's perfectly fine. But again, now you need to think about how they are interacting with the system, right? The use case goal is what activities they are performing within the system. So I think you identify all the different activities, kind of like a Girija did earlier, right? As well. So which is good that you guys need to know what activities they are doing. But what are the things they are doing within the system? That's what the focus for the use case
Okay.
diagram.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So, so all right, something like this, like when you're digging in the patient data and then you're getting some reports out. Is that like so? What
No,
they're
so
actually doing, like
yeah, well, what is that what activity they're performing? So I'll flip back
okay,
to Kusal. If you can go and share your diagram, I can explain. So hopefully that
sure,
makes it little bit more clear. But it's good that you identify all
Yes.
different activities, okay, here,
okay,
because you need to understand that.
sure.
But then the
You
focus
want me
is
to
on just
reshare the
yeah, go ahead,
oh, sorry.
reshare the diagram. Yep, which you
Okay,
have.
okay.
Yep.
Let's see. Let me do this and then this. I've started making changes based on our conversation in
That's okay.
PowerPoint.
That's all right. Whatever you have,
So
you
I'll
can
just
just
pull
share,
this
right?
up in the meantime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to pull
So
this up or the changes that I've been making?
no, this is fine. This is perfectly
Okay.
fine, right? So you have an actor called nurse. Actor meaning
Mm-hmm.
this is a user who is a nurse, and she is registering the patient. She is logging daily activities within the system. She is also recording the patient encounter. Now, one thing you don't have is immunization here, but it could be part of the
Mm,
clinics as well as nurse as well. Okay, because
okay.
a nurse might be involved in the immunization process as well as the clinics. So,
Mm-hmm.
so those are the high level. Now, what another thing you don't have, Kusal, here is the assessment
Mm-hmm.
and reassessment, because they do conduct assessments, initial assessments within and they capture the information in the system. And there is a
Mm-hmm.
reassessment they have to do every 6 months, which is also needs to be captured as part of that.
Okay.
So assessment and reassessment, you can put that in, right? So those are some of the major activities the nurses will be doing. Now you can remove the manage EMR, right? Put an arrow on that because everything is kind of like a part of the EMR. So you can get rid of that. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So those are the
Mm-hmm.
activities, basically. Now,
Yeah, think around what are the core use cases you would be running through it and who would be driving that. That's what you need to
Mm-hmm.
think through it.
yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Now, other activities, I mean, that could happen outside the system, like coordinating with the patient. They might be directing the patient to the doctor as well, hooking them up with the doctors, and so forth. But that's happens, but that's outside the system. Now, that's where you need to document the business process, right? So what I
Mm-hmm.
explain you here, how the process flows, I'm hoping you guys have at least something similar or whatever your understanding is, right? Based on that, what you documented, um, that should be part of the business process, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's a good time to basically take a look at the business process as well. But
Okay.
Jayshree is also here. We haven't looked at hers. But Jayshree, do
Oh,
you have any question based on what we discussed here?
No, I just want to share and just check
Yes.
if it
Okay.
is correct or
Sounds good.
not.
So let's talk about what Jayshree has, and then we'll come back. But you got the point, Sana?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. So you need all the actors. Who are the different users, and then what activities they are doing within the system. That's what it is. So here, like you have a nurse here, right? And she's nurse daily activities, reports, update patient records, immunization and screening. You have now direct patient care. That is more like they are caring about patient or whatever activities, right? But are they doing within the system? That's more like outside activity, right? Providing the care to the patient. So I wouldn't
Okay.
list it out here because
Okay.
that's not an activity that you can capture within the system.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
No, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Okay. Now coordination again, they might be picking up the phone or typing the email, but again, that
Mm-hmm.
happens outside the system, right? So
Mm-hmm.
that one you can take that out as well. Now
Okay.
it is activity for the nurse,
Mm-hmm.
but they are not doing within the system.
Okay.
Educate patient and communities again, those are happening outside the system as well. Now
Okay.
home visits. right?
Mm-hmm.
So typically it's part of the daily activities because they will go to their home and conduct the assessment and reassessment. So that's,
Mm-hmm.
you can, daily activities kind of like captures that home visits.
Okay.
Now, what
So in my
things that you are
diagram,
missing, right?
assessment and reassessment is
Assessment, reassessment is another activity that you are
that is
missing.
missing.
The
Yeah.
encounter, patient encounter, and the immunization,
Okay.
right? Those are
Immunization I
the,
have, but yeah, patient encounter. Okay.
yeah, patient encounter you're missing here.
Harshal, can I ask you a question? You said
Yeah.
BCMH should be at the core, correct? Because that is a big chunk of what these nurses are going to be doing. Where does the medical application form? Because that will be a big thing. Where does it add value in this list that we
So
see here?
that's what it triggers the process. That's the communicated. That's the way the doctor will communicate basically, right? Because they have to evaluate the patient, and because the patient is they are having that kid as a patient, so they need to fill out something for the county. So they will basically fill out the initial medical application form for the kid and hand it
Okay,
over to the
so
patient. Now
given that
that doesn't happen within the system. That happens outside. But once the
so then
nurse
there's
gets the
nothing.
form
Okay, got
at the
it.
county, then they will basically they will set up the appointment, initial assessment. They will probably set up the patient record based on the medical application
Oh,
form
got it,
as
got
well,
it, got it.
and
Okay,
so forth. Yeah,
okay, sounds good.
yeah. It could be nurse or it could be service coordinator. One of those.
So for clinics, do I need to remove the lab work test and like billing insurance
Yeah, is there anywhere is mentioned what I think the only thing they do is
registration?
immunization portion, right?
Mm-hmm.
Immunization, because that's and the encounter thing, basically
Mm-hmm.
some evaluation that
Mm-hmm.
they will conduct as well.
Okay.
So nurse will have encounter as well as clinics will have
Okay. So just
encounter.
patient encounter and immunization. That's it.
Yep. Patient
Okay.
encounter, yeah, and immunization, yeah. Mainly they focus on the immunization activity. Yep.
Mhm.
Now
So no need of
scheduling could be scheduling. I mean, you can put it as a separate,
Mhm.
basically box there, or you can lump sum with the immunization activity as well as a high level.
So I need to remove these all which are like outside the system.
Yes. If they cannot do it within the system, yes, you should remove that. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the goal of use case diagram, right? How this users are planning to use the system for what function. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
So I
And
have a,
then
sorry, may I ask you one question?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes. So I have a doubt. Do families have an option to select nurses from the pool of BCMH, or like nurses are
Unfortunately,
allocated
they
to?
don't. Generally, yeah, then whoever is basically assigned,
Oh, okay.
they'll be
So
dedicated.
nurses are assigned to go to the house and give the treatments.
Yes. Yep.
Okay. Thank you.
But again, the assignment process and all those things at the county level, that's not captured within the system. So they will it happen outside. So there
Okay.
might be some other process they have that will assign the nurse. First come first
Mhm.
serve basis, who knows, right? I mean, yeah. But
Okay.
that will not be captured as part of the system. Now the system will say, yes, this patient is assigned to this nurse.
Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
other than that, how they assign the nurse, that will not be part of the system.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
So quick question. If so we're focusing on direct system users. So wouldn't there only be three then in that case? The nurses, the patient care coordinator, and then billing and claims?
So billing claims coordinators now at somebody at the clinic
Mm-hmm.
for they might have access as well, right?
Okay.
For the scheduling, immunization, and so forth.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yep. Yeah, the doctors now county might have doctors as well, right? Basically one or two doctors working at the county level. They could, you can show them a doctor, but they might be focused on the immunization as well as, but they are working at the clinic. So that's why we are not asking you to put separately, because clinic can be There could be nurses working at the clinic as well, which could be different than the PHN nurse who actually provides the immunization. So, but clinic will include the users from the clinic. So, yep.
Okay.
Just to keep it simple here.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Anything on the use case diagram? Hopefully that this gives you guys some clarity on what should be part of the use case diagram. It looks very simple, right? I mean, the use case diagram is like a drawing a person and then you have a bunch of boxes, but this is the thought process that goes behind it.
Yes, very true.
So then in terms of the actors,
yeah,
besides the nurses, patient care coordinator, billing and claims, and then I guess clinic specific, like maybe administrative staff or
right.
A nursing supervisor, for example. What other actors should we be keeping in mind for the context of the system?
None other than that, I mean, somebody needs to set up the users, right? So there could be some IT admin type of user who sets up this grants different roles and accesses in the system. So that's the only other user I can think of who is more like admin basically, who has access to set up other users. Yeah, but that's nothing to do with the business functionality. It's more of a setting up. So that's why you don't want to include him on the use case diagram because it's focused on the business functionality, not the IT functionality.
Okay, so then in the business context, would we still then include the administrative staff and the nursing supervisor on the clinic standpoint?
No, so we are lumping clinic is clinic, right? So anybody who works at the clinic, they could access.
Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
But
Thank
PHN nurses are specific nurses, right? I mean, they do assessment. Their focus is different than providing the immunization or anything else.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Dilip, you want to add anything else here?
No, I think it's good on that.
Okay. All right. So you guys need to revise your diagram, right? For next Thursday, basically based on what we discussed here. But let's talk about the business process diagram, so we can dive into that.
I can
and see what you guys have.
Share mine.
Now,
I created a. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. So I was just saying that now I think we had a good discussion here, right? So hopefully you understand the process. So now you have to capture that process, basically. And whatever you are capturing, if you are capturing that process, basically what we discussed here, I'm assuming you guys have something similar, basically. So go ahead, whoever wants to say, right? So let's talk about it, see what you guys came up with.
I'll go ahead.
And then there is always, we can always refine it. So.
And then I created a very rough draft. I remember you had mentioned creating a rough draft, so I just hand wrote it, and then I'll create it electronically.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, either way is fine.
And it also allowed me to, keep in mind all these questions and stuff. So I guess we can focus on like the main the black text and boxes.
Okay. So tell me where is your process starts, right? So it's important what triggers your process, right? Because this is a patient sign up process. So yep.
Right.
It's not that complex, but
yep. Right. So since we've been discussing that in class, rather than approved provider being my start process, the start process would need to be
the kid visiting a doctor.
Right.
They identifying basically the condition, right?
Okay, so I can take
condition.
out I can take out a chunk of this based on that. Because I went from approved provider, no, then contact the BCMH general, find the approved provider who can be a PHN or an MDDO. If they go through PHN, they'll receive the sub process of referral to the MDDO program and the program. Then they have the appointment. If they qualify, so I added the note that, hey, I may need to add a qualify string here. they'll receive the MAF back, and they'll have to sign the MAF or a release of information. I also have complete income eligibility documents, but I'm curious whether it may be beneficial to lump both the signed MAF ROI and complete income eligibility into just complete upload documents.
I think that there are separate steps in the process, so you want
Right.
to keep it separate, but now you want to have right sequence as well. Okay, so at what stage they will require the financial eligibility? So that is only for available for treatment, right? For diagnostics, they don't need financial eligibility.
Right.
So unless the nurse basically determines that this kid requires further treatment, they will not require financial eligibility.
Okay. The way I had taken when reading the document was that income eligibility played into the approval process as to whether they were approved for the BCMH system or not.
No, it is, but just for the treatment program, not for the diagnostics. Diagnostics, they don't need income eligibility at that point.
Okay. So that can then break apart from the that has nothing to do with the appointment with the MD or DO. So that can be a separate, I guess.
Yeah.
In the same string, but outside of the MD DO.
Yeah. So I'm not sure why you have MD DO appointment, right? Because if the kid is if I'm seeing my doctor, right? So it's kind of like a normal thing, but then doctor determines, hey, you have something else.
Right.
Let's check it out further, and they determine, okay, this is requires long-term treatment. So that's where they will fill out the MAF, right, and suggest you to go to the county and for further help.
Okay, so that's an automated process essentially, where the MD, their provider, as long as they're approved provider, they'll know that, hey, let's fill out the MAF because they qualify due to these diagnoses.
They could qualify. Yep. And they know the condition as well, financial condition or whatnot. Right? But they will say, please reach out to the county, and I'm gonna recommend you by filling out this MAF form for you, and you need to have the release as well. So we both will fill out. You guys will sign it, and I'll fill out basically the form for you.
Okay. Sounds good. So then that brings me to the approval, right? So after the MAF ROI has been signed and the income eligibility has been completed, they'll either get an approval or a denial based on that. If they're not approved, they have the ability to appeal the denial within 45 days. Initial approval based off of that. If they are yes, then great. If no, then they request a state hearing within 30 days. If they get the state hearing, then they go through essentially the last approval step. And then that puts them to whether yes or no, whether they are qualified for it or not.
Right. So here I would break down the approval basically appeal process separately. Right? Because that's nothing to do with the signing up with the kid, right? So you can separate it out. Now we sign up process, whatever I described just a few minutes ago, right? So that needs to be captured for every box, basically who is involved, when the nurse comes into picture, and so forth, basically.
Okay, so do they have to go through a PHN first? Or can they go directly to the approved MD or DO?
No, that's the process, right? So they have to basically talk to the county, and county will assign the PHN nurse, basically nurse. For the diagnostic, because if everybody goes there with taking a form, and then it's going to be nightmare, right? So they need somebody to evaluate. So initial assessment is kind of like an initial evaluation of whether this kid really has that condition, whatever the doctor is saying, and second thing is what treatment the county can help with, basically, if they are eligible for the if the diagnostics is okay, then what treatment the county can provide.
Okay. Understood.
Or reimburse, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
for the claims. Yeah.
Great. So I'll update this and organize it and get it more. And then I had one other question in terms of how the process diagram should look, right? Since we're gonna have multiple layers of the process diagram, right now we're just focusing on patient sign up.
No, right now what you have is a flow diagram. Okay, it just doesn't talk about different actors, but you need to have different actors. So you start with the BCMH doctor or maybe parent and kid. Goes to the doctor, then your arrow goes to the doctor as well. So you need to add a second actor called BCMH doctor, approved doctor.
Okay.
Right, and then you put the county or PHN basically as a third actor. From there, you add the additional actors if you need.
Okay.
And box whatever activity they are doing, it needs to be in their swim lane. So these are called swim lane diagrams, right? Business process diagrams, they are swim lanes. So whatever activities the doctor is doing, it needs to stay in their area, in their section.
So I made note of that as well, where it's like I need to shift it around to where everyone has their swim lanes. That way it's not just a bit scattered and sporadic.
Yeah. So one swim, I mean, the business process diagram could have 3 or 4 actors, right? You just need to break down the activity in each of their lane, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Excellent.
Okay. All right.
You want me to go next?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure.
Sana.
Based on what we did in the class exercise with Dilip, I will share my screen and let you know. Mine is a very simple step-by-step. Do I need to zoom in?
No, I think this is good.
I think it's fine. It's fine.
Right? Okay, so I put the registration representative. That could be the nurse or the person at the clinic. He or she, they would start the process by logging into the computer with the registration form that comes in front of them. They would input all the patient details. The decision would be they will check if all the questions with an asterisk have been answered. So all the required data that they need to collect. If it is yes, then the next step would be to upload documents to find their eligibility. Like it has to be under 21 years of age. The person has to be residing in Ohio and all the other stuff. If that is done, then it moves to patient registration. And that means the patient is actually registered in the system because the person who's scheduling or whatever they're doing, just taking all the information, has all the information for that patient, and that data is active in the PHN system. And that ends there. The upload document I put as a sub-process icon because if it is, and I've listed it down, I'll show you momentarily. If the asterisk, all the questions are not answered, then it goes into a no. And it says, then fill the required info. And then you upload documents. And then that's how the patient gets registered. This is the upload documents process, where once the documents are uploaded, they will check to verify, like whatever it is, driver's license, or just to check eligibility if it is Ohio resident. And then eligibility, if it is yes, then you accept it and then it ends the cycle. If the documents don't match, then you reject it. And in the second, so I did that swim lane thing that we talked about. And then my second was more like PHN nurse login. I didn't know about the not being online and being a paper format. So in my head, I was thinking is to, once the PHN nurse has that form, she would have some referral questions, or she would fill out all those PHN whatever questions, and then submit it to the physician. But like you said, it's a paper format, then this doesn't come in play.
So Shanna, one thing you think around it is what you have done it for every swim lane, you have a different start and different end. When you draw a process diagram, right, you need to think about what is the end-to-end patient registration process and what actors are playing its role. So you should not have like 4 or 5 different starts. You should have just one start, and from where who is performing what role, right? And then you can do it. So if there are 3 actors who could actually initiate the process, then you want to still have one start and then 3 arrows coming out into each one of the lane to start following it. Because what this view shows is I would say it's an isolated perspective of each one of the actors, but it doesn't show overall end-to-end process. It doesn't show how the information flows from one actor to other actor to make certain decision or complete the process or upload the document.
So okay, based on that, Dilip, can you give me an example? What would a swim lane in this look like?
So let me go and share my screen, Dilip, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, so because the other example I was going to give it is what we shared in the class, right?
Yep.
The registration or the expense reimbursement process, right? It had 3 swim lanes, but only 1 start.
Okay, so I'm just creating like I just did it on a whiteboard here, right?
Sure.
So where the process starts, right? So this is the starting point. Okay, so just pardon my handwriting, but this is so these are parents and the patient, right? Then you have a doctor is another actor. Then you have county as another actor, and finally the nurse is PHN nurse is there, right? So when we talk about the process, it's kind of like a step-by-step thing, right? Whatever the activities you are doing, you are just capturing, and who is doing it. So this is called parent swim lane. This part. This is the doctor's swim lane. What activities doctor is doing. So here the parents visits the doctor, right? BCMH doctor. So they will go to the BCMH. The doctor will evaluate the patient. They identify potential eligible condition, right? They will fill out the MAF, the medical application form. They will take the parent signature, and basically parent will visit the county with the MAF. And the county, once they reach out to county will assign a nurse, right? And the nurse will then do the initial assessment. So they will schedule a visit. Schedule visit to patient's home, basically conduct initial assessment. And then finally they will work with so whatever the next step is, basically they will determine the eligibility. Okay, so I'm just stopping at determining eligibility here, but this should give you some basically idea about when we talk about the process diagrams, right? They are very simple. I mean, right now I'm capturing the as is process. There is no system here. I'm not talking about uploading the documents or anything else, right? This is the current process. This is called as is process. This is without the system. This is what they are following. Yes, go ahead.
So then when Dilip was giving us when you were giving us the example in class, right, about the corporate customer.
Yep.
So that system was not in place too. That is something that we were going to make too. Then how did you define that they would pick something, they would upload data, or was it also as is that was?
No, that one was, so once the system is in place, right? Once the system is in place, then some of the interactions that I have depicted here, basically some of these activities might add more steps for logging in into the system, basically creating the patient record and so forth. That's something you can add that once the system basically. So you always have like a as is type of process. This is what's happening now without the system. And then you will have to identify as what's going to be in the future.
Okay.
So you will have 2 type of basically diagrams, process diagrams.
Okay.
One with before whatever is happening in the business right now, that this is what I have shown here. This is what they are doing.
Okay, sounds good. All right, thank you.
So that's called as is business process. Okay, as is business process diagram.
Okay.
And once the system is in place, parent will still visit the doctor, right? They will evaluate the doctor will still have to evaluate the patient, identify the eligible criteria. They will fill out the form. Parent will go and visit the county. Now assign the nurse. Once the assignment happens, nurse might have to do interaction, right? That's where we are talking about the use case, register a patient. or basically create initial record for that patient, create the initial assessment, right? So once the nurse goes and evaluates the patient at his home, they will come back and capture the information. So there might be another box here to input into the system as well.
Okay. Okay.
Right. And then determine the eligibility based on what she kept and come up with a treatment plan.
Okay.
Right. And sometimes, right? So you think around what is a business process as is, and once the system is, or what will be the future process if the system comes into the place, right?
Yep.
So one of the example, like it's even in this diagram, right? You have a parent's sign, right? Parents could sign electronically and submit it the applications electronically even without visiting the county.
Right. Right.
Right? You don't know if that is a functionality, then that's what you need to do it.
Right.
Okay.
But for PHN, right, that part is outside the system. So until the nurse basically gets
Sees
them form, basically, she will create the initial information and then she will conduct the assessment basically by visiting the patient. And then she'll also capture once she visits the patient, she also has to capture daily activity as well. How many mileage, what is part of the daily activity is the mileage, how much time she spent at the patient, and so forth. Those are some of the details as part of the daily activity.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you.
But essentially, I mean, the process diagram is process, anything that you are doing, right? I mean, you can depict in this type of interaction. You have patient, who are the different actors basically here, and how the data information flows from one step to another. Okay.
I'm making notes to that way I can better refine this later.
Sure.
Would it be, so I'm curious whether a patient care coordinator, for example, would have a swim lane, right? Where they review the full packet, make the decision as to if all the documents are complete, and then submit or request the missing info. And then if admin or clerical would be there as well in terms of creating maybe a manual file or storing any forms and then notifying the staff or the patient that they're eligible for services.
Yeah, so ultimate notification is the letter of eligibility, right? LOA approval, right? So that's where the process stops, or denial, basically.
Okay.
Right. So that's where the process stops. Now, the appeal process, I would consider it's a separate process because once a decision is made, that's where the sign up process stops. Now, appeal process can go on in its own process, basically. Just to remove the complexity from the processes diagram. So yeah, and you can have typically, I mean, in the system when you are building a brand new system, right? Like PHN, you can easily, so service coordinator has their own process because they don't follow this process. Right. So service coordinator are typically at the hospital. So if the kid is admitted into hospital for certain condition, and the hospital staff will recommend them to reach out to the service coordinator, who is generally all the hospitals in the US, they have service coordinators.
Right.
So, and they will coordinate all this. They will say, oh, let me fill out this MAF form for you, and I'm going to hook you up with the nurse as well, who can do the initial evaluation and see what is there for you as well.
Okay.
So, and they can sign up but they will create the initial record, like MAF form, right? So that they will create the initial record, and then nurse will take over after that, do the initial assessment, follow through the process.
Okay. So
so there are different paths, right? I mean, to the sign up.
Right.
There is no one path. One path is nurse, basically, or parents reaching out, doctor filling out the form, and that's initiates that. Second path would be the hospital, the service coordinator will initiate the process.
Right. Okay.
So there are different paths. You can have different sign up processes, right? with the service coordinator versus this one. So
Okay. Excellent. All right. Thank you.
yeah. Does it make sense? I mean, Sana, Girija, or Jayshree?
Yes, it does.
Yes.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. And you can have a different diagram. Okay. You don't have to mix it up with this one. Then you can have service coordinator sign up process. You can have it separately. Separate diagram for that.
So then that
Okay.
will still be in the swim lane, Herschel, the service
Yeah,
coordinator
it's
separate
similar
diagram?
to what I showed you, right? Because
Okay,
you're gonna
okay.
need the parents, you're gonna need the service coordinator, right? You
Correct.
now in that diagram, you might have a hospital staff as well, right?
Got it.
A hospital basically asking parent to basically fill out, reach out to the service coordinator, and
Right.
then service coordinator will fill out the MAF instead of the
Got it.
BCMH doctor.
Got it. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody else wants to share what you have? Anything similar?
I just did like basic thing, basic sign
Okay.
up form. I thought like basic sign up form, and then after seeing this um, Kushal and Shana's diagram, I just read it, recreated now. So I
Okay.
just went through it. It's just very short form of it. It's just first
Gotcha.
starting, and they're going to the approved physician. If the physician is diagnosing and then saying yes, then he's filling up MA form,
Yep.
and
Okay.
then it goes to BCMH. And if BCMH is checking the
So
income
that's
eligibility.
where you want to have a separate swim lane, right? Swim lane meaning, I mean, your section. Who are the different people being part of it, right?
Okay.
So that's what I was showing different actors on the left
Mm-hmm.
side, right?
Uh-huh.
And so BCMH was kind of like a nurse was playing the BC, or I have two actors, county and nurse. I separated out as part of the
Okay.
BCMH, right?
Uh,
Yep. Because they are doing different activities, right? Assigning the nurse for that person, and then nurse is actually doing the actual sign up activity for the patient.
Okay. So
Yeah.
here I did like it goes to hospital, medical hospital, and then they are uploading the documents. If it is everything is fine, they are checking its income eligibility. It
Now,
goes
what
as
documents? I seen everybody has to upload documents. I'm not sure how you guys pick that up.
no, it's
For
not like it's
oh,
not.
this is a 2B process. So you guys are
Yes,
talking about okay, but
if
now
everything goes yes, then hospital is uploading the referral documents or what are the treatments to be given to the patient. It's
okay,
this
that's
one
what
is
you mean by that.
yes,
Okay,
uploading documents, and it goes to that registered nurse, and they are taking care from there. And
okay. Now
and
if you think of the 2B process, right? Generally,
okay.
so you have this MAF form. It goes to the
Mm-hmm.
county, and county somebody at the county nurse or service coordinator, they will punch it in
Oh,
into
okay.
the system. So there is no upload thing happening.
Okay.
Yeah, because they as
Herschel.
part of that, if you have you guys looked at what is in the MAF form?
Yes, it was a detailed
Right, it's a
questionnaire.
detail, right? I
Yes,
mean,
yes.
so you need to capture
Yes,
a lot
what
of
are
things for the patient.
mm-hmm.
Now
So,
what they're gonna do if they upload the documents?
no, sorry to interrupt, but my upload document was more from when you said patient registration, I was thinking about initial registration. Like if that patient is over 21 years of age, then the cycle just stops there, correct? Even
Yeah,
when
because
we
the eligibility is below 21, right? For this
correct,
this
correct.
program.
So
So
when I put my upload patient documents, I meant to check the eligibility to verify. Like when you go to a doctor's place, they would take your insurance card to make sure you are still with the same insurance or check your address. My documents from that perspective.
gotcha. So yeah, your thought understanding was a little bit different.
But then
I
Mine
would
who?
is
say,
about
yeah,
the treatments. Mine is about the treatments, what to do with.
sure.
Okay, so
Understand,
then
understand.
so Herschel, that shouldn't be a part at all. That should not be our lookout, or because I'm in my head, I was thinking if that is not the first thing that you're not met, then there is no point of even entertaining the cycle.
No, those are the rules for
Okay,
eligibility, right? Those are
okay,
the rules for eligibility. Now, until you go through certain things, you if the financial capabilities are not there, right? Or if they are financially, if they can pay for themselves, then obviously they will not be eligible for for the county
But
treatment.
that would come after the, what I remember from the notes was that a nurse gives it to the physician. Once the physician approves and signs, then they're able to send it to BCAMH, and that's when they send you a financial package, which will
Yeah,
then
so for
identify.
diagnostic even, right? So basically for the diagnostics, so there are rules like 21 years, and so system
Correct.
will automatically apply those rules. Those are some of the things you need to capture as you go. Once you define the process, that those rules needs to be built as part of the system as well.
Okay.
So
Okay.
system will automatically determine, basically say, oh, this guy is not eligible because their age is always, they are already about 21 or something. So
Okay.
system, those rules needs to be enforced within the system.
Okay.
Yeah. And generally, that's how all the systems are, right? I mean, certain eligibility rules you're gonna implement within the system, certain criterias you will, because financial criteria, right? If I input anything, I have to build certain rules engine to automatically rule out somebody. Instead of that, I can just look at it, okay, I give it to the accounting department or billing department, and they will say, oh, this guy is not eligible because he's above certain income limits. So instead of building the costly rules for financial eligibility, they might just say, okay, we're gonna do it outside the system and determine, and the only thing we will capture in the system is eligible, yes or no. That's all.
Okay, makes sense. All right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Okay. So anybody else wants to share? So Girija, you need to revise as well, right? In the
Yes.
format that
Yes,
we
yes.
expect. I mean, this format is okay for certain type of flow type of diagrams, but when we talk about the business process, it is more
Yes.
tied to the swim lane type of diagram. So I mean, there are plenty of YouTube videos as well. If you guys want to take a look at it, I mean, just
That's
pick
right.
any YouTube videos
Yeah,
and
this is the one I just made it right now, like
right.
because I made it in a different way, which is very unrelevant to the topic. So
Sure.
I just
No,
made
no
it.
worries, no worries. Basically, and I think the tools will help you create easily, because when you, I mean, in the Visio, or I think Lucidchart or SmartDraw, one of them has
Yeah,
a template. You just
yeah,
drag and drop, and it will automatically gives you swim lane for different actors. You just
yes.
change the names, basically.
Okay. Okay. I did it in Lucio, but that was not relevant to the thing. That's why I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
used
it's a paid version. The Lucidchart free version does not include swim lane diagram.
Okay.
But the smart draw one, that has a 1 month trial, and you can, if you don't have Visio access, then you can just use that.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, let me just quickly check here something.
I think so. We covered the use case diagram. We covered the flow, and based on the discussion, I think it's you guys can also update the context diagram. Right, we had done some starting in the classroom, but now that you have a better understanding of things, you can utilize that information to build out your context diagram, right?
Yeah, true.
So think around like it's you're collecting the basic building blocks at this point, right? And continue to build that one out. So when we try to pull together end-to-end requirements documents, right, or review, you will be able to pull in all these things.
Yeah, I think see this diagram already has a template, basically. Smart Draw, I think, is a good tool as well.
Yeah.
So
The only thing is like it's if you export that to save it into the PDF format, it just puts a watermark
Yep.
all behind, so it's not very legible afterwards.
Right, that's correct. And I think Visio, I don't have it on this computer, but I think on another computer we have Visio as well.
It's again, remember, like it's
Yep.
when you go into the commercial world, right, you will have licenses to all of those software.
Yep.
So it's just making it sure, like can you log in trial versions and build a view for that.
Yep. That's correct. Okay. All right. So let's talk about what they're gonna do next week, right? Next Thursday. So I'd like you guys to complete the process diagrams, right? Sign up process, basically, for service coordinator as well as the nursing, right? PHN nurse. So at least 2 flows you should work on it. And if you have to read the document again, please do so. But I think our discussion, what I explained you, I mean, that's how it's gonna go in the real life as well. So it's more like interactive, right? So you're gonna ask a question, business will answer. You're gonna ask another question, business will answer, and hopefully you have captured enough notes. If not, I'm gonna put this video as well, so that you can go through, watch the video again, and follow through Q&A type of thing, so that you understand how the system's supposed to be built. Now give it a shot for the as is, right, and the to be, both type of diagrams. If you guys prefer, maybe pick one flow and create the to be diagram. So pick a nursing flow, right, nurse flow, and as is diagram, and the to be diagram for both.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah, give it a shot. I mean, there is no harm, right? I mean, it's a learning process. So, yep. And you use the tool if you I think a smart drawer, pick lucid chart, and try to create in like proper swim lane. So that should help you guys get familiar with the tool as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
And
Harshal, quick
yeah, go
clarification.
ahead.
When you say to be, so like Dilip went step by step. So we will do exactly like login.
Yeah. So
widget,
you need
okay.
as is, right? So you need as is, right? So
As
in the
is what
to
you
be,
explained.
yeah,
Yes.
as is there. Then all these steps you're gonna add in the to be is once the system is in place, what activities will happen as part of the system.
Got it.
So those are additional steps you will need to add in the as is diagram.
Got
So
it.
that will
To
become
be.
your to be.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Sounds
Yeah,
good.
it might
Thank you.
eliminate some steps as well, but most of the steps I think I just talked about, like a patient, that part doesn't change, right?
Right.
Some of the part will not change. Some of the lanes will not change.
Correct.
Yeah.
Got it.
So that because most of the folks, I mean, as a business analyst, you need to be able to do both. What is my current process right now, and what's going to happen after the system is in place as well? How the work will change for this nurse, basically.
Right. And the key difference is, like, it's Ashana, if you think around it, right? For custom creations, there was no as is process.
Right.
Right. That's why we went into detail to build it. What would be the process?
Right.
Right. So that's depending on what the existing business process is, right?
Okay.
You need to do that. And if the existing business process doesn't exist, then you need to say, it's okay, if the system is built, how are you envisioning that process to be working?
Got it. Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
And just to clarify, so what the other two we are making will be the PHN side and the patient care coordinator side, right? And those will be, you want us to create separate process diagrams for them. That way we have 3 total,
Patient
one on
sign
the
up.
patient side. Oh, okay, all for patient sign up.
Yeah, well, so sign up, right? So you guys are still on the sign up.
Right, yeah.
I have not talked about the assessment yet, but I think let's just build as part of the sign up process. I think you guys will be fine. So patient sign up, right? But one for the nurse, right? That's the flow that I showed you, that is for the nurse, but you guys need to build it properly. But that is as is. You're gonna build similar for the service coordinator. What would be the flow for the service coordinator? Now look at and I explain you the process as well, but I think that the same process is identified in that big family handbook document.
The handbook, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in the handbook it says there a bit about maybe like 7 or 8, whatever, before 13 pages. You're gonna read again. and I'm sure you will find it. Similar process is there. Yeah, but then you pick the nurse and basically change it to the 2B as well. So you're going to create a third diagram, which is a 2B diagram, business process. Once the system is in place, how the activities will be performed or what would change based on the interaction with the system.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, any other question from anyone?
The final diagram, which is like to be like once the system in place, in that there will be three like actors, right? Patient, nurse.
Yeah, all the actors will remain same, right? Unless
Okay.
you are eliminating anybody with the online access or anything. But I think for the nurse flow, it remains same, all 4 actors.
Okay. Patient, nurse, BCMH, and service coordinator.
No, service coordinator is a completely different actor. So they have their own process for signing up the patient. So you are creating completely different diagram for them.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's nothing to do with the how nurses signs up was basically, right? The service coordinator has their own process with the hospital. Yep. And that's what I said. I mean, if you look into read through the document again, family handbook, I read closely this time. Hopefully you will find it somewhere.
Okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. I mean, I don't have anything else for today, but unless you guys have any other question.
No.
All right. So it looks like Sana is good. Kusal is good. Girija, do you
All
have
good.
anything? Okay. All right. Then let's regroup on Thursday evening next week. We don't have any session this weekend. So, yep.
Sure.
All
Thank
right.
you so much.
Let's focus on that, and we'll meet again then. 6:30.
Thank you, Dilip. Thank you,
Thank you.
Harshad.
Excellent.
Bye-bye.
All
All
right.
right. Thank you,
Have a
guys.
good evening.
Yep.
You too. Bye-bye.
All
Have a
right.
good evening.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good evening.
Bye.